rumors and allegations of corruption prior to the tournament. The English Football Association, which competed against Russia to host the tournament, was not satisfied by the information presented within a 42-page summary released by FIFA in November of 2014. The said report, which cleared both Russia and Qatar of corruption during their biddings for the 2018 and 2022 World Cup tournaments. Military conflict relating to the Ukraine. When the Russian Federation annexed the strategic location of Crimea from Ukraine in February and March of 2014, a number of British and American politicians publicly called on FIFA to overturn and strip the rights to host the football tournament from Russia. Officials not doing anything in the compliance of Russia drew criticism between Russia hosting the cup with the appeasement of the Nazi party within Germany before the Second World War. Not wanting a headache with Russia any more than they normally do, FIFA officials declined the politicians' rebuffs to strip the cup from Russia by releasing a statement, quote, "The World Cup has been given and voted to Russia and we are going forward with our work." The Russian government being blamed for Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. In July of 2014, due to fighting between the Russian and Ukrainian armies, Malaysia Airlines Flight 17 was shot down over eastern Ukraine, with the 283 passengers and 53 crew members all dying in the crash. A number of Western leaders blamed Russia for the loss of life, and again demands were made for the tournament to be stripped from Russia. A member of the German government publicly condemned that stripping Russia of the football tournament would be more effective than sanctions. War in the Donbas region of the Ukraine. With more conflict in the most eastern region of the Ukraine, the Donbas, European diplomats revealed in August of 2014 that the then British Prime Minister David Cameron was working for Russia to be stripped of the hosting rights for the tournament as part of an extended sanctions package. However, no action was taken due to the fact that the proposal was made 4 years before the actual tournament was to be held. After Russia formally wins the rights to host the 2018 tournament. Various claims of racism. After it was announced that Russia won the rights, a representative of the Union of European Football Associations claimed that the Russian Football Union of damage control of racist chants in stadiums. In October of 2013, after being abused by racial Russian fans, footballer Yaya Toure claimed that black players might boycott the 2018 Cup unless Russia does more to tackle racism in football. In March of 2015, the then Secretary General of the Russian Football Union, Anatoly Vorobyov, commented that, quote, "Not everything is going smoothly," in reference to stopping racism in Russian football. Later the same month, Vyacheslav Koslov, a member of the Russian team that bid for the cup and former member and former president of FIFA, commented that too much is made of racism in Russia and that quote-unquote monkey chanting isn't racist. Russian ban on negative news during the tournament. The Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs ordered police not to provide information to foreign news agencies during the World Cup and instead only provide information of solved crimes or incidents to protect a more positive image of the country. During the World Cup, Russian police were instructed not to publish information about contracted raids or results of various investigations such as robberies and murders. The Russian spy poisoning controversy. In March of 2018, following reports of poisoning of former spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter in Salisbury in southern England, the British government announced all official visits to the World Cup were suspended. No representative of the British government attended matches or any ceremonies, though the English football team were still able to compete. The then British Foreign Secretary, Boris Johnson, accused the Russian government of using the World Cup for propaganda purposes. Nike refusing to supply the Iranian team with equipment. American company Nike stopped supplying the Iranian football team with cleats just days before their opening match in the Cup due to the then new United States sanctions against Iran. During the World Cup tournament, Mexican racial slurs. The Hollywood Reporter reported that the FIFA Disciplinary Committee fined the Mexican Football Federation 10,000 francs, or roughly 10,400 US dollars, for the chants or sayings of puto, directed at the then German goalkeeper Manuel Neuer. One of the Mexican players told supporters on Instagram not to use slurs for other players to avoid the Mexican team having to pay fines. Swiss nationalism during their win against Serbia. In the Swiss 2-1 victory against Serbia, players on the team celebrated with gestures resembling the double-headed eagle. The act was viewed as a symbol of Albanian nationalism in Kosovo, the former Serbian province that declared independence in 2008. Is a partially recognized country claimed by Serbia. High-ranking officials in the Albanian government supported the notion, while Serbian newspapers considered it a disgrace. Croatian celebrations against the Argentinian and Russian teams. After the victory against Argentina, one of the Croatian football players celebrated the victory by singing a nationalist song adopted by more radical factions in Croatia. After the victory against the Russian team, other players shouted pro-Ukrainian comments. Group H Fair Play Controversy. Both the Japanese and Senegalian football teams are in Group H, and the teams have the same number of points, goal differences, and the same amount of 2-2 draws as their head-to-head record. Japan beat Senegal into second place based on the fair play record and had fewer yellow cards when compared to Senegal, which were 4 against 6. The last two matches were played simultaneously, with the Colombian team managed to score against Senegal to go ahead to the 1-0 in the 74th minute. Japan went into second ahead of Senegal on the fair play rule. During their last game against Poland, the Japanese team were made aware of their beneficial position with 10 minutes left and decided to play a conservative strategy. They passed to one another and kept the ball in their own area of the field, seeking to avoid any bookings. They did not attempt to score despite being 1 goal behind. Poland, on their part, were happy to let them do this as they were already winning, but had no chance of advancing into the next round. Fans booed both teams for their conduct during the match. After the match, the then Japanese manager, in an interview, commented, quote, "I am not too happy about this, but I forced my players to do what I said. It's the World Cup and sometimes these things can't be avoided." End quote. The attitude towards the Japanese players drew criticism from football authorities internationally. Comparisons were made to a similar type of match in the 1982 Cup, the disgrace of Gijon. Japanese social media also criticized the team. Others, however, defended the actions of the Japanese team, and FIFA said it has no plans to drop the fair play rule. Australia versus Peru. After the match with the Australian team versus Peru, one of the Australian players met with some fans and actually took off his jersey and was about to give it to a young child whom was also an Australian football fan. An unidentified Peruvian man attempted to steal the jersey from the child, but with the player as well as other Australian fans to possibly help the boy, the Peruvian player did nothing, though Australian news sources clearly commented that the man was disappointed with not getting the jersey. Female harassment. Later in the tournament, FIFA requested that television and photographer coverage of the various fans who attended the games should focus less on visually attractive women. One of the Russian fans shown at different times during one of the matches turned out to be a model. Getty Images, an American company, apologized for publishing a gallery titled "The Hottest Fans at the World Cup." There were even reports of Russian women and female media personnel being harassed by male fans. France versus Croatia. The circumstances with the Croatian team against France highlighted that the Croatians became the first football team to win extra time matches consecutively, but it has been said, due to the strain put onto the players as well as the fatigue from those matches before the final game, have said that the team was not at their full strength when they played against the French for the actual cup in the last match. When France won the match, Celebrations soon turned to violence and riots which erupted in Paris, Lyon, and Marseille, and other locations across the country after the victory. It was later confirmed that during the violence, 2 fans actually died as a result of the chaos.